Some of you may not know this, but I was adopted from Russia and came to the US when I was 2.5 years old. Families that are adopting internationally are worried about the transitioning from going from an orphanage to coming home with a family. International adoption is a complicated process and it has its struggles, but it can be incredibly fulfilling. Being investigated is the first step to the adoption process. The first step is called the pre-placement evaluation. This is basically to check to see if you're ready and capable of adopting a child. So when my parents were ready to adopt, they had people come over and they came and they walked around the house to make sure everything was okay, and they checked off the list that we were capable of adopting. The second step to this process is called the court report. This step happens after 90 days after the placement. This consists of the analysis of the adoptive family, the birth mother, and the child. So when my family was ready to adopt, they had to go through a court report here in the US, and then they had to go through the same thing at Russia because they have two separate choices, and they go different about both of them. In their court report, they discuss things about the adoption, and they discuss about what you should do to be able to finalize the adoption. The third and the final step to this process is called the post-placement evaluation. This is a follow-up to make sure the child is adjusting to its new environment and to make sure the parents are settling into their roles and making sure that they are doing what they're doing and to help the child be successful. So when we got home from Russia, after waiting a couple weeks, we called up a social worker, and they came and talked to us and made sure that me and my brother that was also adopted, to make sure that we were settling in and that my parents were doing their jobs that they had to do. Children who are internationally adopted may be at risk for language development. Children who produce their first words soon after adoption make better progress later than the children who produce their first words late. So when I was in Russia and I was in an orphanage, the only things I would hear would be Russian because that's where I grew up. So when my parents came and adopted me, they were speaking English, of course, and it was really hard to learn what they were talking about, but as the years went by, I have learned English, so yeah. So also, a struggle with adoption is having attachment issues. That can affect the child later in their life, and they can show symptoms such as isolation from others, which this picture shows, low self-esteem, or not being able to open up to people. As I got older, I have struggled with opening up to people, and I've isolated myself a lot because of these attachment issues. Because when I was in the orphanage, I was surrounded by many kids. I didn't have a certain bond with my mom, so yeah. Awareness is the key to understanding to deal with the struggles. Parents who are adopting internationally should seek out help from professionals like licensed psychologists to help with strategies to help the development of the child. Adoptive families should proceed with caution into introducing their new child to the variety of experiences that common to American children. Some long-term outcomes are you're better off with a family that will be there for you and will love you unconditionally than back in the orphanage, and you have a better chance to becoming a member of the society. So to recap what I went over, there's 3 steps to investigation process. It is the pre-placement evaluation, the court report, and the post-placement evaluation. There's some struggles that you have to go through, like the attachment issues that I explained, and in the end, it's all worth it because you end up with a loving family